What's up, everyone? I don't have a name for this show, but it's Jason Aponte and me, Grant. He's in Jersey. I'm in Oakland, and we got a new topic for you guys today. First of all, Jason, thanks for coming on. What's up?
Grant, you already know what it is, man. Thank you for having me, buddy.
So Jason and I have been talking about the college quarterbacks ad nauseum for months, and nothing really is going to change with that until Senior Bowl happens, Combine happens. I've been thinking about it, and Jason, tell me if you agree with me on this. I think maybe we're getting a little too excited with the rookies. I mean, the great rookie quarterback on that rookie wage scale is the holy grail in the NFL. You want it. You want to be the Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs right now. But first of all, the Niners have the 12th pick. It's hard to get that guy right now. He may not be in this draft. Second of all, it's Shanahan's offense. It's long. It's complex. It's hard for anyone to learn in one offseason. Plus, we don't know what this offseason is going to be like. It could be like last offseason. There could be no OTAs. There could be no preseason or whatever. So if you're starting a rookie next year, you're almost saying you're willing to miss the playoffs again. Just in case, you might give away 3 games because he's a rookie. All I'm saying. So It's possible you draft the rookie, but he sits for a year. You know what I'm saying? And the starter next year is a vet. Now, I think both of us don't want that to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Fair?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't want it. I mean, it is a realistic thing, but I would prefer an upgrade at this point.
We would be open to an upgrade. So I think there's actually at least 10 vets who could be available for trade this year. And here's why. With the cap going down, all these veteran quarterbacks are too expensive for their current team. Like all of them. All these guys that signed these $60 million signing bonuses are now taking up 17, 18, 19, 20% of their teams. They have to either restructure or get traded. So there's this whole class of quarterbacks that are too expensive for their current team, but if you trade them under the same contract, they're actually kind of a bargain for their new team because that team doesn't take off on the prorated bonus. And that's where the Niners could strike. Instead of hoping Trey Lance can start year one, you could trade for one of these guys and he becomes more affordable. So what we can do is go through each guy and look at their contracts and see what makes sense. Yeah. So I'm just going to throw out a name and we'll shoot from the hip what we think, and then we'll look at the contract and then we'll move on. So first name I got for you is the obvious one. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's the best guy available. He could go down as a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's exceptional. Mm-hmm. He also would cost 3 firsts, 3 seconds as a starter. And he'd be cheap in 2021, but expensive after that. Do you think that's something the Niners should pursue, or do you think they should let that one come to them?
Right. I mean, pursue it. Always make your calls. Do your due diligence. I think this front office has shown, even last year after a Super Bowl appearance, that they were open about flirting with Tom Brady and trying to figure out. And we talked about that, right? So if you're looking to upgrade in the offseason after a Super Bowl, how could you not be looking to upgrade after what we just saw this season, right? For all the people, saying that, well, Jimmy was injured. Well, week 1, he wasn't injured. And then, it's the same thing that goes back. Like, I see people telling me all the time about Trey Lance only playing 1 game in 2020, right? But we forget that he was ramped up like during the week, and he found out that week, right, that he was going to play. And people are like, oh, the excuses. I'm like, well, you afforded Jimmy G a lot of those excuses week 1, and he's been in the system, and he's an NFL quarterback. So if you're going to hold one person to it, you have to be able to try to upgrade this time, right? Yeah. Deshaun Watson is that. We know it, right? Top 5 guy. This is the only top 5 guy that's out there. But all those picks are a lot, right? But, man, yes, I think the 49ers should be calling and trying to pursue and see what's going on. You have to – the reason that you call and pursue is because – you don't know what general managers are going to do on that other side. Sure. You don't know how they value people, right? Like when we see DeAndre Hopkins, obviously this is Bill O'Brien's work, right? But this is just an example. When you see DeAndre Hopkins get moved for David Johnson, you start to realize that anything's possible when you start to get in these people's heads, man.
Shoot your shot.
Right, yes. Exactly. Yes. Like, why would you go to them and say, yeah, we'll give you 3 firsts? Why don't you just say, hey, look, we'll give you this, and a player for Watson. See if they bite, man. Like that's how it works, right? So there's no veto process. If the Texans wanted to trade Deshaun Watson for Mitch Wisnowski, the NFL is not going to step in and say, hey, this isn't the move, like that, So, yes, you have to pursue. You have to upgrade, and I'm glad you brought up the price tag. He's cheaper this year than the quarterback that's currently on the roster.
Oh, my God. He would cost the Niners like $10 million in 2021. It's amazing. So here's real quick what I feel about Watson. Like, he's the best. And if it were Major League Baseball where there's no salary cap, you would go after the best because that's just the end of the story. He's the best. But football is different. It's not just the best player. It's also, do you like the picks you'd have to give up? Do you like the percentage of the cap you'd have to spend on him? And when you look at the whole, let's check them out right now.
Yeah.
Let's check them out right now. So here we go. Hold on. If you look at him, he would be, this is Watson here. He would be very cheap for the Niners because the prorated bonus is $5.4 million. The cap number is 15.9. That means he would cost the Niners $10.4 million in 2021. That's cheap. It goes up big time in 2022. It would cost them about $35 million. That's a lot. And then look at the difference between the pre-June 1 and the post-June 1 trades from Houston's perspective. Mm-hmm. It seems to me from Houston's perspective, they don't want to trade this guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe they would would they want to wait until after June 1 to get a quarterback, or would that just prevent them from getting a replacement? Because they'd save about $15 million in dead cap.
That's what scares me, honestly, about it, Grant. It's like, how can you willingly move a guy that you're going to wind up having on your books for that much money, right? Like that. Exactly. I mean, it's just, you don't want to
trade him anyway. And now you got to live with $21 million in dead cap while he's tearing it up wherever he plays. That's tough.
Right. And then, if the 49ers make this move for the reasons that you just stated, as far as his cap hit, you have to win that Super Bowl right there, that first year, like that way. You have to win next year. Like there's no, let's see how it goes. If you bring in Watson at that number, you have to win, because down the line, you're going to have to make tougher decisions when it comes to paying different guys. And that's really where it comes in. Bring in Watson, win a Super Bowl, all that other stuff is whatever. You'll figure it out when you get there. But if you bring in Watson and you don't win a Super Bowl, now you're talking about like cutting down the roster, and that's when things get a little bit hairy. And I think that's what fans are skeptical of. It's never been about talent. I don't think the staunchest Jimmy G fan couldn't look you in the face and tell you with a straight face that they think that Jimmy G is better than Deshaun Watson. It's never really been a question about that. It's just a question about all the other things, which is, what we have an entire offseason to try to figure out.
So it seems to me, look, when I looked at that contract, the fact that they could save $15 million in dead cap by waiting till after June 1, that might be something the Texans want to do. So what they might want to do is trade Watson in June for picks in 2022 and a starter. I don't know who the starter would be. It might be Jimmy G. It might be Kirk Cousins. But that might be something they could save money, get picks, and have a starter. Or they might just really want Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Maybe not. I think it's possible the Texans could drag their feet. And so let's play it out. Maybe the Niners could trade for Watson and keep their 2021 pick and trade later picks. Is that something you'd be into, or is this just getting too expensive for this guy?
Just for the 1 year and the shot, sometimes it's better to zoom in than zoom out, right? So I don't like to make short-sighted moves, but I just understand that, with this guy under the roster on our team, it changes the way that you are building, right? Your team, right? Because, and I've been on the side of this, is that, a franchise quarterback can lift up bad O-line play, can lift up, defenses, right? Like how many years did Aaron Rodgers not have a defense where he was carrying them because he's that good, right? Like, and then when you talk about pieces around them, Deshaun Watson down the stretch, he led the league in passing, was thrown to Jordan Akins, Kiki Cutie, Craig Hansen. That's not a wild group, he had Will Fuller for a little while. And when he went away, he still was good enough to, and then think about the play calling, right? Like the play calling is terrible. You're not running the ball, and Watson is still finding a way, so yeah, man, you bring him in and then you try to figure out the rest later on. I feel like,
that's fair. And here's one way you could figure it out. And it may sound crazy, but what you could do, because you can't, if you give Watson $40 million a year, $35 million a year, you're not going to have money to extend all these other players. Plus, you're going to need picks. So you could trade Deebo Samuel for a first in a couple years. You could trade Nick Bosa for a couple of firsts in a couple of years. Those are moves you could do to finally get those picks back, considering you're probably not going to be able to afford Nick Bosa and Deshaun Watson at the same time at the height of their money-making power. So you can get those picks back. It seems actually more attainable. And really the thing that turns me off the most is his cap number, $35 million.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So it's a good option. You can't overlook it. But let's go on some other players. There might be better options.
Sure.
Let's check out Matthew Stafford. Let me get.
Oh man.
First of all,
let's just start with the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Quickly, do you think Matthew Stafford got on the phone to his agent and said, "Get me the hell out of here"?
It sounded like that's what's happening, right? They got this guy Dan Campbell. It's just been reported a couple hours ago that he's down to leave. He wants to leave. That's the news of the day. That's the news of the day.
Are you shocked?
No. Would you want to play for Dan Campbell? Would that give you confidence?
I would not. I don't understand, right? Like I don't understand. Like when I posted, his interview, right? There were people in there though, like, oh well, that roused me up. What about that screams? Yeah, what about that screams any sort of intelligence, any sort of football IQ, acumen, any sort of philosophical change? That just to me screams drunk guy in a bar doing his best Jim Tom Sula impression. Come on, man. There was nothing about anything that he said that makes me think that the Lions are going to be anything more than a 4 or 5 win team during the 2 years that he's a coach. 6-year deal be damned. He's not making it to nowhere near a third year. I don't want to hear that. Matthew Stafford is not looking to rebuild, and he's certainly not looking to rebuild under Dan Campbell.
Well, let me tell you, that's all true and valid, and I wouldn't feel confident after hearing what he said. My God, it was very Tom Sula-esque. But take the emotions and the press conference out of it. Just look at the math and the numbers. Detroit should trade Matthew Stafford. What we talked about at the beginning of the show, there is this class of veteran quarterback that is now too expensive for their current team because of the pandemic. And he falls in it. Like Matthew Stafford, look at his deal. Here he is. He would cost the Lions 17.5% of their cap next year. They can't have that. They're going nowhere. They did nothing with him at 9.9. They're going nowhere with him at 17.5. They got to trade him and move on. But for the Niners, this $13 million doesn't go to them. He's $20 million. All of a sudden, he's actually quite affordable. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, it's like this. If I had a wish list, it's Watson. Second right behind him is Matthew Stafford at 32, man. The age thing doesn't bother me as much because guys are playing longer in this league. It is a quarterback driven league. And, the one thing that people want to point out is the back injury. And maybe that's valid, right? That's something, but he doesn't miss games. And we talked about it. Week 17, he was out there playing, even though he had no reason to. So give me that guy. Yeah.
Okay. So financially he fits. I mean, he would cost the Niners $20 million in 2021, $23 million in 2022, and then he's a free agent. And then by then you could have Trey Lance come in and replace him, or Kyle Trask, or whoever you drafted, Mac Jones. So the question is, what would it cost to trade for him? I'm thinking it cost the Raiders to get Carson Palmer, who was a first and a second. That's about probably what it would cost the Niners. So is it going to be this year's picks or next year's picks? Let's look at it from Detroit's perspective. Does it help them to wait until after June 1 or to trade him now? If they do it before June 1, it's $19 million in dead cap. If it's after June 1, it's $13 million. Not a big difference. I'm thinking they're going to want the picks this year. What do you think?
Yeah, they're probably going to want the pick this year at 12, because then that even gives them some sort of maneuvering to move up for their guy if you can arm yourself with 12. So, yeah, they're probably going to want this pick, which, you guys know I'm on the Lance train, but unfortunately that's probably going to put them out of it because, I'm starting to get scared that I don't think that Trey Lance is going to be there at 12 anyway. Mm-hmm. And if the 49ers get that sort of insight, then I think this is something that you have to do, right? And again, we've talked about it, Grant. Just because you don't grab a quarterback this year doesn't mean that you can have Matt Stafford and not draft that quarterback the next year, the year after that. Maybe, you still have a guy who's going to be high and elite, and you'll still be able to get a guy next year, the year after, right? So it's not quarterback or bust all the way if you have Matthew Stafford in this draft, clearly, right? That seems simple and that seems obvious, but that doesn't mean that the next year or the year after you don't go after a quarterback and fill up that role the same way. I'm with it with Stafford, and whether it's with us or with someone else, he's definitely not going to be a Lion next year.
It's okay. So I like the Stafford one. I like it. I like it better than Watson. It's more affordable. It's not 8 picks. It's 3 or 2. Right. It's not $35 million a year. It's 20. So I like that. Only thing is, you're going to have to trade that 12th pick this year, I'm thinking. And that may not even be enough because there might be teams ahead of the Niners who want Stafford as well. So you might get into a little bit of a bidding war. And then first, now you're not in a position to take Trey Lance, as you pointed out. You're waiting a year to get the quarterback to develop, to take over for Matthew Stafford. It's a little clunky, but it could work. It could work. I mean, you could trade the first, take Stafford, and then take a quarterback in the second, but now you haven't addressed your offensive line, your cornerback play. So it's a little tricky. There might be better options. I got 8 more names.
What would you say? What would you think the package would be for Stafford? Would it just be 12 and maybe next year's second or something like that? Because then if you do that,
I don't think that's enough. I don't think
that's what I mean, right? Yeah. And if I'm the Lions,
that's the starting point.
Right.
That's the starting point. I feel like more than one team would offer their first this year and their second next year. So I don't think the Niners would have the best of that combination.
Right. And I mean, if you're the Lions, you understand what you have. You know how good Matthew Stafford is, and you know that you shouldn't be selling him for peanuts.
Right.
And, I see some of the comments in here about, not being mobile. I think that, again, I have to reiterate the point that the The 49ers don't need a mobile quarterback. They need someone who can maneuver the pocket, and that's what Matthew Stafford can do. That's it. I'm tired of quarterbacks in this system. All three of them. I'm not going to name one person. All three of them not feeling the rush, not stepping up, not moving, to the left, to the right. Matthew Stafford can do that. And then on top of that, throw from different platforms. So, I just had to get that out there.
Okay. So we agree. Better than Watson. A little difficult. Let's see what else is out there. All right. Yeah. Let's talk. Hold on. Aaron Rodgers. First thing you think with Aaron Rodgers is like, why would he even be available, right? Like, he's in the NFC Championship game. Well, let's just put it this way. Hold on. Before I get his contract up, they did draft Jordan Love this year.
They did.
I'm sure that pissed him off.
Oh, yeah.
If they lose this weekend, God forbid, and they could, and the offense doesn't look that great, there'll be a lot of finger pointing. It could get bitter. He may be available if they lose this weekend. What do you think as I get his contract up?
He has to force himself out, right?
Yes.
That's the thing, right? And, it's weird, right? Because I've had this discussion like within my own mind, right? Did the Packers draft Jordan Love realistically to prepare for the future or to find some way to motivate Aaron Rodgers this way? Because Aaron Rodgers is playing with a chip on his shoulder these last 2 years, right? And this year he's the MVP. He's the MVP this year. That's it. I don't want to hear any more about anybody else. He's played that well. And, it has to be that he has to force his way out, man. They would have to flame out. They would have to get washed like how the 49ers washed them last year. They would have to get washed, I think, for that to happen.
Okay, so it seems unlikely, but let's stick with this for a second. Let's look at the contract because, as I said, the NFL was not expecting the pandemic. It was not expecting the cap to go down. There are these vet quarterbacks that are all of a sudden no longer feasible on their current team. Does Rodgers fit in? Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Boom. Okay, here he is. What I'm seeing from Aaron Rodgers is in 2020, a cap number of 21.6, cap percentage of 10.6. That's beautiful for a Hall of Fame quarterback. But in 2021, his cap number goes up to 37 and his cap percentage goes up to 20.6. That's a non-starter, Jason. You can't do that. So to me, see what I'm saying? So to me, I got a couple options here. You can renegotiate the contract, lock him in long-term, but you just drafted Jordan Love, or you could trade him.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they win the Super Bowl, you're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers. But if they lose this weekend, how are you going to ask him? What are they going to do? It becomes interesting. To me, I think it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. And like I said, it just has to be with straight up forcing his way out. And I think that all right, this is me with no sort of basis, insider knowledge, anything like that. I just always want to believe in the good of man. But if he comes over here and he realizes that his cap is so high, his cap number is so high, I have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers would negotiate his deal to change it up because the amount of championships that they would be in position to win with him there is probably 2 or 3 in a row with this roster.
I mean, and he's playing in a very similar system. So I think he could probably hit the ground running pretty quickly with the 49ers. Yeah. Let's look again and see what the difference is pre-June 1, post-June 1, just to see when Green Bay would trade him if they were to trade him. Pre-June 1, they got $31 million in dead cap. Post-June 1, it's 14. So to me, that's good news for the 49ers because you don't want to trade that 12th pick this year. You'd be much more into trading post-June 1 and giving up the 2021 pick, the 2022 pick, the 2023 pick. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, and
that's good news.
That is good news, and you have to hope that the Packers see it the same way as well. It's funny, right? The Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers while Brett Favre was still playing at a pretty high level, pissed him off, and he wound up getting himself out of there too. Rodgers, Rodgers is not going to sit around and play pet with anybody else at this point. Like, I just don't see that happening. Yeah,
I mean, if they feel like, look, we didn't win it this year with Rodgers at 10% of the cap. We're definitely not going to win it next year with Rodgers at 20% of the cap. He's not going to renegotiate because he's still pissed at us for drafting Jordan Love. We like Jordan Love. We want to move on to Jordan Love eventually. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll trade. Now the question is, what does it take to get Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP season, still only about 37 years old? They might be able to get a whole hell of a lot for Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They still can.
Those are the lines we get for Stafford.
Right. And then you have to remember a team that's given up something for him, whether that's the 49ers or somebody else, is expecting to immediately be a Super Bowl contender. So that's what the Packers have to hang their hat on, is knowing that they can grift people and say, yeah, well, you want to win a Super Bowl? Give us more.
Right. So it makes sense. He's one more time. Let's look at it. How much would he cost the 49ers? If they were to trade for him, he would cost them less than 23 million next year. That's not too much. It's about right about the upper limit. And then after that, it would be 25. I mean, that's cool for the greatest quarterback of all time. It's just how many first round picks are you trading? Probably more than Stafford, not as many as Watson, but a whole lot. And now you got to get him back by trading Debo eventually, Bosa eventually, which I'm cool with actually. So if they traded for Rodgers, they would win Super Bowls. Even Kyle Shanahan could win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
See, Grant.
No, I'm saying like Kyle Shanahan makes bad decisions in the way that Andy Reid always made bad decisions, kind of with game management or toward the end. And now he has his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, where it doesn't really matter. The margin for error is so beyond, it doesn't matter. Like Andy Reid's great now. I think if you gave Kyle Shanahan, Aaron Rodgers, they'd win the Super Bowl. Probably should have won it with Matt Ryan too. If they had Robert Saleh instead of Dan Quinn in Atlanta, they probably would have won that Super Bowl too with Matt Ryan. But if they can get Aaron Rodgers, I'm not really worried about the picks. He's financially feasible. Get him.
Right. One more thing that I want to point out too is I don't think anybody's talking about is that just because this year the cap is going down or anything like that doesn't mean that the initial plan for the cap doesn't change, right? So We're talking about cap numbers right now, but we don't know what 2022's cap's going to look like. We don't know what 2023's cap's going to look like, because if things get back to normal, whenever that is, and we can put butts in seats, then the plan goes back into motion about the cap being raised, right? So this is what I mean about not worrying too far down the line, because there's so many things that are variables, right? Mm-hmm. You can say, hey, we're going to bring this guy in, but he'll be expensive down the line. We won't be able to pay people. Well, do we know if the cap's going to go up to what it's originally supposed to, or is it going to go up higher? That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I am always going to bank on what I know rather than what I think is going to happen. And I think that's probably the best way to look at it.
All right, let's move on. Next guy, Matt Ryan. What first thought that pops in your head? Not exciting, right? He's 37, 35. He's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had an all right year this year. He's an upgrade. I can say that confidently. He's an upgrade. Understands the system. This offense that has been run, this Kyle version is just so stripped down. For Matt, when Matt Ryan said, this is what the problem is with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm glad you brought up Matt Ryan, right? When Matt Ryan said that it took him the second year to learn this offense, he didn't learn the version of the offense that is here now. He learned the full shebang Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about with this second year growth, right?
Not like shuttle pass, screen pass, slant. No. They went down the field.
Right. And he had to go through reads. It was complicated. It wasn't cut down half of the field, pick a side. It was, hey, it's all there for you. Make a move. Also helps when you have Julio Jones. But Matt Ryan, when he said, I'm taking it took me a second year, people took that as, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo's second year is going to be big. They didn't change the offense. He has to keep it stripped down like that because of the quarterback play. It's not the same thing. So I'm tired of people saying, oh, he doesn't have enough time in the system. No, the coach knows that this system will not run at its peak level with the quarterback play that we have now. Sorry, I don't know where that came from and why I needed to say that, but yeah.
And real quick, with Matt Ryan, he's so much better than Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't understand. The Niners probably would have won that Super Bowl with Matt Ryan last year. Jimmy Garoppolo was terrible in that game. And if you remember, Matt Ryan in the Super Bowl that he lost was 17-23 for 260, 2 touchdowns. His quarterback rating was 144.
It was the highest it could be almost. It was almost the highest it could be.
Yeah, he was not the reason they lost that game. The reason they lost that game is because the head coach, who's a defensive coach, couldn't get anything from his defense or tell his offensive coordinator to run the freaking ball. That's why they lost. Matt Ryan did his job. He got sacked a couple of times when he should have been dropping back. He's a hell of a player. And if you go back and look at why the Niners lost that Super Bowl to the Chiefs, they kicked 2 field goals in that game. Both times they were right around the 20, and they couldn't convert a 3rd and 5. First one, Jimmy Garoppolo has a clear lane to scramble, doesn't take it, throws the ball away. Other time, he has George Kittle wide open over the middle, throws to Coleman for 2 yards. That's on Jimmy. I'm telling you, the Niners would have won this game with Matt Ryan. So can they win a Super Bowl with him? Yes. Mm-hmm. Would he be a good upgrade? Yes. So should we investigate the feasibility? Let's check.
Go ahead. Go for it. See, that's the part, right? His dead cap number is insane for Atlanta, right?
Insane. So let's check. Pre-June 1, $44 million. Can't do it. Now, again, look at him. His cap number is 40. His cap percentage is 23. They got to move on. Got to. and they have the 4th pick in the draft. And we already saw Daniel Jeremiah came on today and put him with who was it? Lance. They get Lance at the 4th pick. So
I could see that.
Yep. So they got to move on. They got to trade. They can't trade him pre-June 1, though. They just can't. Let's look post-June 1. Bingo. 17 million, way better. So if that means the Niners can keep their 12th pick, offer their 1st-round pick next year, maybe a 2nd-round pick in 2023, starting to look feasible. The only question is, do you really want to trade a 1st-round pick in 2022 for a guy who's going to be 37 that year? That's the question.
That is the question. And I think that, when it comes to how I'm ranking who I want, Ryan is probably, if it's 5, he's probably closer to 5 than he is 1 for me. Just for those reasons that you said, 37, or 35, right? So
he's 35 now. He'll be 37 in 2 years. So he's 35 now. Yep.
Right. So, I mean, again, any of these moves that you make, the 49ers have to win a Super Bowl the first year. You can't mess around and say, oh, this is a year to mess around with. If you identify your guy, you have to win this year.
Well, let's compare the Ryan trade to the Stafford trade. With the Stafford trade, we both agreed they'd have to trade that 12th pick. And now it becomes a little tricky to get how to get the young guy. Do you wait a year? Do you draft him in the 2nd round? What you could do if you trade for Ryan, you keep that 12th pick. You could take Lance and sit, or whoever is available at 12 and sit him a year. Or you could take Trask and sit him a year. Whoever the guy you want in 2021, you can take that dude. And now you get Ryan and the young guy on the team at the same time. Ryan will be on your squad for 2 more years. And then the young guy will be ready to replace him after that. Seems like it works.
Yeah.
Seems like it works.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how many picks he'd be, but probably fewer than Stafford.
I mean, he has to, right, at this point. And the thing is the contract. That's the biggest thing, right? So it's man, if you know that you're going to wind up making, whoever, accepts Ryan, accept this contract, then you have to come down with your picks, right? They're doing you a favor by taking this money off your books, man. Whoever takes him. So you can't just say, stick him up for all the picks. No, you got to come down with those picks because somebody's going to take that contract and have to deal with that headache down the line.
Okay. So for me, ranking what we've done so far, the number 1 option to me is Rodgers. But I don't know that he has to lose this weekend for that to happen. There has
pretty
to be
badly, I'd say too. Pretty
exactly.
badly.
It has to be the 43-8, like the Peyton Manning thing. It has to be something bad. Where Matt LaFleur throws him under the bus at the post-game press conference and Rodgers oh, did I draft Jordan Love? That has to go down. So barring that, I would now put Matt Ryan as my number 1. I think it makes the most sense, all things considered. Stafford 2, Watson 3. Would you agree, or would you do a different order?
No, I think that's good, actually. That's fair. I think Watson is the one that we want just because he's younger, but we understand, everything that goes into that. And who knows, right? I'm not going to speculate on whether that's going to happen. I just know I'd like it. That's it. I just want to see this offense with, the 49ers have been starved for a guy like Deshaun Watson since Steve Young.
Yeah.
Right? The 49ers have not had a franchise quarterback since Steve Young.
Right.
Steve Young won a Super Bowl when I was 11.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yes.
So I mean that's the thing, right? When 49er fans see 23-year-old stud that they can build around, you got, and of course this is with Stafford, man. I was waiting for him to pop in. It's as soon as you say Stafford, it's he's on in.
The one thing I think that I like about the Ryan thing is being able to keep that 2021 pick. That's a nice little added bonus. But Stafford is younger.
He's better.
He's better. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep it moving. We can go kind of quicker with these guys because we've already hit the big names.
And some of these guys are just going to be hell knows. I guarantee.
Hell knows.
So,
a quick take and a quick look at their contract, and we'll move on. Kirk Cousins.
Look, can I look in the camera real quick?
Yes.
I know we love to make fun of Kirk. I know. Man, this year Kirk Cousins played really well. Sorry, guys. You have to be. Everything lines up. The numbers and the film line up this year. It's not one thing, right? It's not like you can just point out the numbers and say, well, he didn't play well on film. That's not the case this year. Sorry, guys. It's not my opinion either. If you don't,
he would definitely be an upgrade over Jimmy G. And would the Niners win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins? Well, depends on how much he would cost them. So let's check it out. Let's go to the videotape.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Kirk Cousins. Pre-June 1, he costs. Well, here he is. $31 million for the Vikes next year, 17.2%. Again, I think they got to move him. They're not going anywhere with him at 17.2%, as good as he is, because they didn't even make the playoffs with him at 10. So if they were to trade him, the Niners would get 10 million off, 21 million. That's reasonable. Problem is the year after he'd be really expensive. dude. Oh my God, this is an awful contract. Anyway,
if they gave him all that guaranteed money, and it's still bad,
so bad. So you trade him post June 1, only $10 million in dead cap. It's better. I don't really want him, man. I don't know, dude. This is hard. That's tough.
I think my point on
he is good though.
Yeah, that's my thing, right? It's like, you guys, look, we love to make jokes, and I do too, right? The guy's a dork. I get it. He wears socks with thong sandals. I get it. It's cool to make fun of him. But the play, separate your feelings from the play, right? And the guy actually really has been playing well, man. He played well this year, man.
He did. He's consistent. I mean, he plays every game. He's not top 5, but he's definitely like top 11, 12.
Yeah, I mean, he's in that top 15 range.
Yeah. I just don't like his contract. I do not. I mean, and he got this amazing contract because he hit free agency, and it's great for him. But if I were a team, I wouldn't want any part of that. That $45 million, you got it now. So,
more of the things that it is about Kirk have less to do about field, and it's more about intangibles. Like, do the guys in that huddle look at him and say, "I believe in this guy," right?
I think it's pretty well documented that they don't. I mean, former teammates, current teammates, they all kind of roll their eyes at it and like, see, told these guys trash.
Picture this. Picture a quarterback who, after he has a bad game, goes on the radio and apologizes to his wide receivers. Say less.
And they still don't like him. And they still like, get me off this team so I can go play with Josh Allen.
Say less. That's it.
He's just not an alpha male. There's something about him, and you're supposed to be as the franchise quarterback. All right, let's move on. So Kirk Cousins, attainable, yes. The best move, no. Derek Carr.
Nope. Look. Is he an upgrade over Jimmy G? Maybe. Certain days, right? Certain days.
Yeah. They're both pretty inconsistent, right?
Right. They live in the same portion of the field, intermediate, never take deep shots, anything like that. I'm good. This is no way. This isn't the move that's going to push them over the edge, right? Like, if Derek Carr is the quarterback of this team with everything going on, and let's say he actually made it through the whole season, I don't think the 49ers make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, let's check out his contract real quick. I mean, it's cheap. He's probably the cheapest starting quarterback in the league right now. I mean, on his second deal. But the Niners, I mean, it wouldn't really save the Raiders any money by getting rid of him. They're not really in a position to draft a quarterback. I'm not even sure he's going to be available. I think the Raiders are probably stuck with him for one more year. And I don't think the Niners really would be that excited to get him. I mean, there's something very weird about him, and I don't know that he could win over the locker room. I think a lot of Niner players would be like, "Yo, what? Are you kidding? Are you kidding me?" Right?
Yeah. I mean,
some people like Jimmy. People don't like Derek Carr.
Yeah, he's not exciting, man, Derek Carr. You know, it's I don't know. And you know what though? I mean, I should get up off him a little bit because John Gruden's awful. So, you know, maybe I'll lay up off him a little bit, but you know, it's just baffling the way they put that roster together. Why bring Henry Ruggs in when you have a quarterback who doesn't want to throw the ball down the field and you don't utilize him in any way? So it's just, you know, Carr might be in a bad situation. Like I said, is he an upgrade? Probably, maybe, you know, but it's not so much of an upgrade that I'm ready to run out and go grab the guy. I'm just not on board with him like that.
Yeah, I mean, more likely it's a lateral move. It's like a lot of effort for a lateral move that could go bad considering Jimmy is popular in the locker room, or he used to be, and Derek Carr is just so unpopular. I mean,
I think I'd stick Jimmy there on that one. I think I'm sticking Jimmy there.
Okay, let's move on. Alex Smith.
Nah, you know what, man? This has nothing to do with play on the field or anything like that. Alex Smith, I love you, buddy. I love what you battle back from, but I want to see you. That's it. Dude, look, he couldn't even get it going at the end of the year, right? Like, there's obvious issues with it. I mean, if he's fine, he's going to cost you nothing. But this team, as far as looking to what they want to, you know, aspire to next year, Alex Smith is not going to help them in any way, man.
He's intriguing to me because he is cheap. I mean, he would cost the Niners $19 million next year and $21 million. That's cheap for a guy who is a consistent winner. I mean, say what you want about him, dude wins. But the reason I gotta say no to Alex Smith is because of the injuries. I mean, he seriously couldn't finish the season, and when he played, they won. But he couldn't play in the playoff game, and Taylor Heineke had to go. And I think that's going to be a consistent theme with Alex Smith the rest of the year. Something on his magically repaired leg is a little messed up this week, and he's got to take a week off. And you just got to deal with that. And I don't think you can replace one guy like Jimmy with a guy like Alex.
That's my thing, right? It's like, we're talking about guys who can play, and this guy couldn't even get ready down the stretch, right? Like, I think his last game was against the 49ers, right? Like, and they had to, or maybe he played one more game, but it's like, man, that leg, you can't take chances on that. Now, the only thing is you take a chance on that contract because it's not going to be anything. But, I don't know. As far as vets go, that one's tough for me because I just don't see him playing anymore. He can't. His leg is still messed up.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not, first of all, he'll be 37 next year, and he's not extremely cheap. He's still going to cost you 19.3, which is just about 10%. More than 10% at 180 million, and you're going to be trying to win a Super Bowl against a guy like Josh Allen. Like, good luck. That guy's still making 2%. So trading for Alex Smith doesn't exactly guarantee you a Super Bowl. I think Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, you could argue, it's not guaranteed, but now you're definitely in the contending category. Cousins, no. Carr, no. Smith, no. So let's move on. We got 3 more names.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait. If we're already at Alex Smith, I can't wait.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Grant.
No. Explain it, because I didn't really watch the Steelers that closely this year. Explain it to me. What is his arm shot? Is it he's always hurt?
It's not as shot as you think it is, right? Like, but it is declining, right?
Okay.
And, again, guy who can't move at all at this point. Tough to bring down. I'll give him that. But no, man, at this point. And, if you watch the way that season ended, like the last few weeks, that offense, first of all, they couldn't run the ball. Second of all, everything that they threw was intermediate in the middle of the field. So, there was no deep shots, right? Claypool, everything that they did with Claypool was what they were supposed to do with Jalen Hurd. Everything that they did with Deontay Johnson was what they were doing with Deebo Samuel. Everything was just close underneath. That is your view of a team who can't run the ball, and that's what they would be doing. I'm good on Ben Roethlisberger. I know he's battle tested. I get it. One of the, Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm good, man. I could not see this team moving to him. I can't.
Yeah, let's just look at it real quick. He'd be 39 next year.
Yeah.
I don't think they can keep. I don't understand. They'd have to restructure this and extend it because 41, you can't. No, they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed. At 22.8, I think it's the tops in the league. So they got to do something, either extend him or move him. The way he looked in the playoffs, they might want to think about moving and moving on. The prorated bonus is 22 million, Jason. So for the Niners, the guy would be less than 20. That's why I think it's kind of interesting. Yeah, he looks beat up and bad. It's still Ben Roethlisberger. He'd be the cheapest of the options. Cheaper than Stafford, cheaper than Ryan. So you give him the Niners run game. You give him the Niners defense. He's won 2 Super Bowls. I'm trying to talk myself into this.
Yeah, you definitely are.
Pre-June 1, post-June 1, there's no difference. I think if the Steelers traded him, they'd want picks this year. Could they get a first for him? I don't know. See, I don't even know if they can get a first for him.
But let me ask you this, Grant. Even with all those things you just said about running game and all that stuff, Ben Roethlisberger does not make this team a Super Bowl contender. I'm sorry. He does not.
Plus, you'd have to give him like the Phillip Rivers treatment, like the best offensive line in the league. Send him to Indianapolis. You put him on this team, he always gets hurt. By week 14 every year, he's got a broken rib and a busted ankle, and he's playing through it, but he's like hobbling around like on the Niners. That would be by week 1. Yeah. So, it's no. Although it's interesting how cheap it'd be. And you might be able to get him without giving up a first-round pick at all. But that's why, again, that's like, well, okay, so hold on. Let me stick with it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You trade a second-round pick this year and a second-round pick next year for Ben Roethlisberger. Mm-hmm. You take the best offensive lineman available this year. You give him a top running game and Deebo and Kittle. Could it work? Could it?
No. Grant, I'm sorry, man. I just, when I watched him play, man, it screamed at a guy who should have retired probably last year.
You're right.
He'll be there again because the Steelers are indebted to him with this contract, and also they're indebted to him for what he's done for them. But
you're right. No, you're right. And honestly, like when I watched a couple weeks ago, Phillip Rivers against the Bills, I actually thought Phillip Rivers played quite well in that game.
He did. He played great in that game.
He did, and I thought, you know what? Actually, he looks better than Roethlisberger.
For sure.
Roethlisberger should retire. Rivers, I thought, had one more year. And that's why I was saying, hey, the Niners should go get Rivers. He's available. But he retired. So, yeah, I'm with you. No Roethlisberger. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. Carson Wentz.
Is he done, Grant?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either, Grant.
I don't know. He needs development, but he's got like $80 million in the bank. Does he want to develop? He's got a little bit of Jimmy G in him, man. It's like, dude, are you still in? Are you still sold out to play? What's up?
Yeah,
because you're still kind of young as a football player, but you've had these injuries and now you're rich. Like, where are you?
That's been the talk, around them. The whispers is that Carson isn't a preparer. He's not a film watcher, right? And I think that a little bit of that was evident this year. Sure, plenty of it has to do with the way that Doug Peterson handled that team. Play calling was atrocious. They had receivers who weren't ready to step in right away. They drafted Jalen Reagor when they could have had Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, any of these guys. So some of that does have to do it, but you can see it on the field. Missing reads, not understanding the concepts, not reading defenses. Plus, his line was awful. He was getting killed all year. When you mix all that together, I'm not sure that might be salvageable. It depends on the price, and it depends on where he's coming and, how much he's coming in for, honestly.
It would have to be, like, in terms of draft capital, they'd almost have to give them to you. Like, it'd have to be like, let's swap 7th-round picks. You know what I mean? Something ridiculous, because you're taking their contract off their hands. You're doing them a favor, as you mentioned earlier. So, I mean, that's why I think it's a little interesting, because he falls into this category of dude who got huge signing bonus and is too expensive for his current team, but might be affordable for the next. And also, he would not cost you draft capital. He would cost you something on day 3, I would think. So here's
one more thing real quick before you do that.
Sure.
The reason that I don't think he's going anywhere is because the Eagles made a choice, Doug or Carson.
Good point.
By Doug, so look, you can't move off that contract. So what do? You don't get rid of the guy, you get rid of the coach. So the guy that's coming in now, I'm sure that when he took the job under the assumption that there'll be a camp battle between Hurts and Wentz, and then Wentz will win, and he can get his job back. Yep. Okay,
well, let's check out the contract real quick for the sake of it. That's it. Okay, so here we go. 2021, very expensive, man. 34.6, 17%. The Eagles are screwed. If I were there, I would be thinking about moving him now because you can't compete with that. They were a dumpster fire with him making 8%. So let's look pre-June 1. Can't move him pre-June 1. That's a deal breaker. So they got to wait, trade him post-June 1. And if they do, they can do it, man. $9.2 million. So for the Niners, he'd still be really expensive, though. That's the problem. He'd be $25 million. I don't want to pay Carson Wentz $25 million.
No.
Hell no. Ugh. Nah, nope. That's like when you're like in the TV, like in the store, and you think you see something you like, and you're like, oh no, I can definitely buy that. And you check the price tag, you're like, no, it's not.
No.
Hell no. Ugh. Wow, they're stuck with that. Good. No wonder they got some guy I've never heard of to be their head coach and
right.
Screwed.
That's why I bought this hat. It's upside down, so it came out cheaper, because it was a factory defect. I see all the comments. This is how the hat is. This is how the hat's made, guys. It's supposed to be stylish. It has the candlestick logo on the side here.
I used to do that in high school when I played baseball. Baseball is an expensive sport, and you want to like get the nice glove and the nice bat, but I would get the blemish. The way like they have the little thing in the wrong spot, you'd be like $100 cheaper. Like, thank you. Let me get that. Yes. Otherwise, it's $250, and that's a lot of allowances for your boy. All right. Last name. Last one we got.
I think I know who it is.
Well, if it ain't who you think it is, then we might have to add one more to the list because it's Sam Darnold.
Oh, okay, it's not who I thought it was. We might
have to add one to the list afterwards. So Sam Darnold, what do you think of Darnold?
Okay. I've been pretty clear on my stance with Darnold of just, I'm not a quarterback guru. I will say this about Sam Darnold. I don't know. I don't know, and I will not evaluate Sam Darnold under Adam Gase. I will not. That is not fair at all to Sam Darnold, okay? Is there a world where Sam Darnold is not a good quarterback? For sure. Is that more likely than him being a good quarterback? For sure. But there is that little part of me that says, man, if you get him around a coach that really knows how to actually coach football, you get him around a roster that actually knows how to play, maybe this kid can be serviceable. Maybe he's not going to live up to his draft capital, but he is young. He's 23 years old. 23.
That's right.
Not everybody comes into the league and just tears things up, guys. It's not how it works for everybody, but go through his contract.
So, I mean, here's first of all, before we get to the numbers, like let's put the context in. Like the reason this might happen is because the Jets have the number 2 pick. Plus the Jets have Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur. So if Kyle Shanahan likes Zach Wilson, the Jets like Zach Wilson, right? And if Kyle Shanahan wanted to get him, then the Jets will get him. But what the Jets could do is, hey, we're going to take the guy you like because you told us you liked him and we like him too now, but we can send you back Sam Darnold. We'll do you a favor. And we won't even ask for a first. What would he cost? A third? A fourth?
Yeah, I don't think they can ask for a first.
I don't think you can ask for a second. Like, what did Rosen get? What did the Cardinals get for Rosen?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll look it up.
Maybe they get more than that. But okay, so he's not super expensive to trade for. And now look at his contract, man. I mean, he would be, first of all, he's only got 1 year left. His cap number is 9.7 for the Jets, but on the Niners, you take off $5 million, dude. He'd be nothing. He would be dirt freaking cheap. And you could keep Trent Williams. You could keep everyone you wanted. It'd be interesting, you know. I don't know. It would kind of depend on if you really thought Sam Darnold was trash or not. But
see, that's the thing, right? Like if you had that evaluation of him at USC, then this is an absolute no, right? Like, right. So I mean, and I could see that. You know, look, this is throwing names out for argument's sake. These aren't people like you hear Robert Saleh talk yesterday. I got the chance to listen to him on the radio and everything because I live here in Jersey. He was the opposite of what Kyle Shanahan did with Jimmy G. Telling you that Jimmy G, he expects him to be the quarterback is fine and whatever he said. Robert Saleh was tough in the pocket, tough as nails, ready. Like he really believes that he's going to be there. So I don't see him moving, but Robert Saleh looks like he's in at least to try 1 year with him. Why wouldn't you try 1 year if you're Robert Saleh with him there while he's cost control?
See, that's to me, if I were advising Robert Saleh, if I were on that coaching staff and he were asking my opinion, I'd be like, dude, why are you moving off Sam Darnold to replace him with Zach Wilson? I know you like Zach Wilson, but are you sure that Sam Darnold wouldn't have looked like Zach Wilson if he had been at BYU? I mean, that's a great left tackle they have over there. Sam Darnold looked pretty good at USC. I think what Zach Wilson can do at BYU is hold the ball a long time. And basically his job is his receivers aren't great, but they're open. He gets rid of the ball quickly, but he can hold it if he wants to. His job is easy. Sam Darnold could have looked like that there. Are you certain that Zach Wilson is better than him? He's probably better than Sam Darnold, but are you certain? So it's possible that, the Jets just keep. I mean, what do they really gain from trading him? He's already cheap.
Yeah,
you only get a third-round pick. You're selling low.
And the Jets are committed to Saleh. So why wouldn't Saleh try 1 year with him to see what he has? And then if not, whatever, then you move off him, and that's fine, So that's why I understand the move exactly for them, because they're not on any sort of schedule. No one's expecting the Jets to come out here and bust everybody in the mouth next year, right? Mm-hmm. So you see what you got with Darnold, and if not, move on. And then it still puts you, if you lose enough games, it puts you in a spot where you can drop the quarterback next year. I think he stays, and I think Saleh's smart for that.
This is a really fun exercise. And if you think it's a little too much of a hypothetical, I guarantee you this is the kind of exercises the 49ers are doing daily. What are our options? What is every single veteran option that is even feasible? Let's go through the hypothetical and see and rank them. And we'll do it again next week because they want to move on from Jimmy G, but trying to actually find a feasible, affordable upgrade is tough, and they may not have figured that out yet. That may present itself down the line. And as we're looking, a lot of these are like post June 1 trades, and I just kind of got to get a little creative. So was there one more name you wanted to put up? Oh,
well, to your point real quick about that, actually, I think I lost it. Yeah, I do have a name that I want to put up, and I want you to defend it because I'm out on it.
Okay. Who?
Andy Dalton.
I didn't put Andy Dalton because he's a free agent, and I'm talking guys to trade for. But the reason that Andy Dalton is arguably the best option is because you don't have to trade for him. You would give him a 1 year, $3 million deal. Problem is, he's not that good. So if you move off of Jimmy G and bring in Andy Dalton, there's a good chance you're going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So if you that's why I'm out, right? Like I'm not a fan, I don't think he's as bad as everybody says, but I don't think he's that good. And then if you do that, you are tossing this season aside, or you are prepping whatever quarterback you take. In the first round, either you're moving up to get a guy or you just pray that Trey Lance falls to you at 12 and you're just prepping him. So that's the reason that I'm out on it. It's just that I see that name floated out to me a lot, we've talked about it and everything. I should have left it off because you said, trade. So that's my
hold on. Let's stick with it though. Let's do some rankings. Would you rather sign Andy Dalton or trade for Sam Darnold?
What's the C? Get punched in the face. Good gosh, man. I mean, so what does this mean if we sign Andy Dalton? Does that mean we get Trey Lance? So, all right. Perhaps. If it's Dalton and Lance, cool. I'm with that. It could be
Darnold and Lance too, because you could trade a third for Darnold.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you want to give up that much draft capital on one position.
I'm not trading that third for Dalton. I'd rather. I mean, for Darnold, I'd rather sign Dalton and draft Trey Lance. If it's one or two.
See, that's why Dalton is interesting. Like, I think the give Dalton one year, $3 million contract is preferable to trading for Darnold, trading for Wentz, trading for Roethlisberger, trading for Alex Smith, trading for Kirk Cousins, trading for Derek Carr. The only moves I definitely like better than signing Dalton are trading for Stafford, trading for Rodgers, trading for Ryan, and trading for Watson. If you could maybe get some of those pick back down the line, get them to restructure. I don't know. Yeah. So it's feasible, but you're going to miss the playoffs. So why are we even having that discussion?
Oh, I remember now the point. Okay, so you were talking about, week to week, how teams look at it, right? So, I see comments, saying, why are you guys still talking about quarterbacks? Because the quarterback position remains fluid week to week for these same reasons.
Yes.
We can still discuss the same people while describing their situation being different, right? Before we came on here, we found out that Matthew Stafford is actually wanting a trade. Right. So all those hypotheticals that we've been throwing out for weeks, they've come to fruition now. And now realistically, you have to talk about that. So if you guys don't want to talk about quarterbacks all offseason, you might want to get off Twitter because situations remain fluid and information comes in and things change. So, yes.
No, Shanahan has to figure this out this offseason. He can't keep pushing this down the road. This is it. Vish is very smart, and he's saying it's better. He's saying Andy Dalton is better than everything besides Stafford or Watson. Ooh, and then he came back and said, and maybe Rodgers, I guess. I would. What about Ryan? Let me ask you, Jason. Would you rather trade a 2021 first and a 2023 second for Ryan, or sign Andy Dalton? That's a tough one.
What do we want? What are we looking to do this year? What are we looking to do this year? Are we looking to win a Super Bowl?
I think so, man. It seems to me that if the Niners had Tom Brady right now, they'd be back. They'd be right there against the Packers like they were last year. They should be there right now. It's Jimmy's fault. It's Jimmy's fault, Jason. I don't care that he got hurt. Tom Brady wouldn't have got hurt. Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt this year. It's Jimmy's fault.
I think that you do the Dalton thing and you go for my guy Lance, man. I'm with it. I'm all in on the Lance thing. After being able to watch his film and the reason that I am, quick reasons. There will be no sort of learning curve in this offense. Sorry, guys, not sure where you're getting that narrative from. NDSU runs all of the same Shanahan concepts and run, play action, RPO, all those things. They run all of watch the film. It's all there for you, right? I'm not even giving you opinion. It's there for you. There is no learning curve with this offense. So stop telling me that he's going to go into some massive scheme change. That's false. That's not an opinion. That's false.
No, it's true. So it is false. But what I'm saying is for him, for Fields, for Lance, for Wilson, for Trask, for anyone not named Trevor Lawrence, I think they should be sitting first year. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. And so that's why this is an important discussion. Even if they get Lance, who are they going to get to start next year? It might be Jimmy G. It might just have to be Jimmy G. But I think we found some better options. And honestly, I really like the Rodgers and the Ryan options. Because to me, if you trade for Watson, you could win the Super Bowl in 2021. But after that, I don't know. And if you trade for Stafford, you're going to make the playoffs. But are you going to win the Super Bowl with Stafford making 11, 12% of your cap? I don't know. I think you might come close, but not get there. With Ryan, a little cheaper. Rodgers, a little cheaper. Also, might be a little better, even though they're older. So I think those would be that's what I'm zeroing in on, at least those four names: Rodgers, Ryan, Stafford. Probably not Watson. Rodgers, Ryan, Stafford, and Andy Dalton if you just strike out. We got a question real quick from Travis. Yes. Jimmy G is the only player on our team who isn't tough. It is his fault. He's the quarterback.
We just outlined Matthew Stafford. We just outlined Matthew Stafford playing in Week 17. And look at your own team. Look at your own team and find the tough guys. George Kittle's a football player. He played in games that didn't mean anything. You know why? He's paid handsomely. He's a football player. He's tough. That's what you want from anybody on your team, not just your quarterback. That's what you want.
Yeah. And with Jimmy G, I mean, I got to question how much he wants to play football, how much it matters to him. I don't
know how tough he is.
He didn't prove that much before he made millions and millions of dollars. He didn't have to prove it the way Kittle did, the way all these guys do. Interesting question. Well, this was a cool one. This was fun. I don't think anyone's done an exercise like this yet this offseason. And I think maybe this might
find a way to do something cool. You always find a way to do the debate show one was good, and then this was good. You always find a way. See, remember when, I was going to text you last night, bro, what are we going to talk about on this show? And look at this, it's an hour and we filled up time, man. You're a content genius at this point.
Well, thanks, man. This was a lot of fun. We'll be back next week, and we'll have some. I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week. We'll figure it out.
There'll be something.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Jason. Thanks for watching, everyone.